M365 credential theft is not just for business email compromise. And we know that threat actors have been targeting 365 credentials for a long time. Now they're using them to access Teams and anything else you can use 365 for. And I know from talking to my colleagues in the industry, one of the things we're watching out for this year is when attackers start to use Copilot. Because Copilot often has access to information from across your organization. It can do rapid analysis. It can help the attackers figure out who to target, what the latest activities are, how they can commit fraud even more effectively. And they don't have to download your data and analyze it themselves. They literally break into your tenant and use the Copilot instance that you've already set up. Matt, any other thoughts that you want to share on this?
No, again, the big takeaway here is that we need to be really careful with these new AI tools that we're integrating into our environments. Something like Copilot needs to be very heavily restricted. We need to watch out what kind of information it has access to, and we need to be really careful about the usage.
Well, and I know we're going to talk about zero trust and identity management here in a little bit, but this is a really good example of where you don't want people to have access to more than they really need to do their jobs. So you really want to make sure tools like Copilot are locked down and that you have a professional configuring them. All right, so again, we're not going to go through this too much. Check out our webinar on AI scams and fraud, where we talk a lot about AI and how it's used. But you can see that criminals can rapidly create new phishing sites. Here's an example for Microsoft. Hey, WormGPT, write me code for a phishing website that mimics 365. And boom, it just does it. It's perfect. And it can do that for other sites as well. So Matt, I know one of the things we've been tracking is the fact that criminals can mimic Adobe sites, DocuSign sites, and they're letting you log in with whatever credentials you want to give them. So it could be 365, they could be stealing Outlook, they could be stealing AOL. They're really leveraging these trust relationships, is that right?
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, people are used to signing into other services with a central identity provider like Microsoft or like Google. It's a really common thing. And so seeing that pop up in a phishing email or on a phishing website is not so out of the ordinary that people are really going to question it.
Yeah, and again, this is another thing that everybody in your organization should be aware of. Make sure that it really is Adobe's site. It really is DocuSign's site before you type in your credentials. Another problem we're seeing, which we talked about in our first CyberSide chats, is that sometimes criminals are using legitimate DocuSign accounts. We're not going to get into that today, but just be aware you really have to look critically at these sites and where they're going. I do want to mention that, man, this is an old trick. Back in 2017, we were tracking fake DocuSign sites, and you could see it was so janky back then. There was a drop down, and you could sign in through Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail. Hey, Matt, you wouldn't want to lose your Hotmail credentials, would you?
No, I keep those things very, very secret.
Yeah, close to your chest. AOL credentials. The difference here is that hackers are now targeting enterprises more. Enterprises are using different software. And then, of course, instead of having to rely on these janky exploit kits, again, they're just creating these very rapidly and very effectively using artificial intelligence. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, this is Sherry Davidoff, CEO of LMG Security.
And I'm Matt Duran, Director of Training and Research for LMG Security. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at any time. We would love to hear from you. You can reach us at info@lmgsecurity.com, find us on LinkedIn, or follow us on Twitter. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you next time.